My name is Sean. I'm delighted you're joining us for today's ESPC community webinar. Today I'm joined by Sebastian Sturm, who will cover AI prompts, the Swiss Army knife of the Microsoft Power Platform. We love hearing guys have to say, so remember joining conversation about today's webinar and more on X. Our handle is at ESPC underscore community and our hashtag is hashtag ESPC25. Tweet us, tag us, and tell us what you learned. Don't forget to check out our Learning Hub, which is updated with the latest blogs, ebooks, webinars, and how-to videos. You can access and view the Learning Hub by visiting our website, sharepointeurope.com, and clicking Content tab at the top. Don't let the learning stop here. Continue to keep up and stay ahead by joining us for our next webinar, Knowledge Management Strategies in the Era of Copilot Beyond the Basics with Susan Hanley. This webinar will take place tomorrow, Monday, October 20th at 4 p.m. CET. For more information on this webinar, please check out www.sharepointeurope.com/SharePoint Week. Get €150 off your ESPC 25 ticket with the late bird sale, limited time only. Join Europe's leading Microsoft 365, Azure, and AI community in Dublin from the 1st to the 4th of December 2025. Don't miss your chance to connect, learn, and grow in the best in the industry. Book now and save €150. After the webinar, we'll have questions. As always, if you have any questions at any stage, feel free to type in the chat box and Sebastian will get to them during the webinar. This webinar will be recorded and added to the Resource Center where you'll be notified by email when it is available. And now I'm going to pass over to today's webinar presenter, Sebastian. Hello, Sebastian. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, thank you. Thank you, Sean. Thanks for joining. I'm happy that I can share again a session that I was able to do on the European Power Platform Conference. As Sean mentioned, it's all about the AI prompts in the Power Platform. So let me straight up share my presentation with you. Should be there in a second.
Yeah, I can see it there.
Awesome. Thank you. So as said, I try to find a catchy title for a tool that is not so well known within the Power Platform, which are the AI prompts, and as I see them as really a Swiss Army knife because you can do so many stuff with those small tools, which are easily to overlook with all the Power Platform stuff that is all around. And this is where I want to give you a little bit more insights on today. There's a lot of demos, a little bit of information about that, and all of that. Before that, one or two sentences about me. I'm Sebastian. I work at a Microsoft partner called Macaw. I am working there as an AI and business application consultant, focusing mainly on all the generative AI stack from Microsoft within Power Platform, but also within Azure AI Foundry. And therefore, I'm really into that topic. And this is also one of the reasons why I have given that presentation back in summer on the conference, and will do this now for you here in the webinar as well. So what do I want to show you in the next hour? So a brief overview about AI in Power Platform and their challenges. Then why I think AI prompts are the Swiss Army knife in AI Builder. And hopefully interesting for most of you. Most of the time I will spend in live demos today. So only minor part of that will be the presentation part. You look forward to that. Please send some prayers to the demo gods. Everything is live that I do today. So we will check out if this will work. After the demo, I give you a little bit information about the licensing. So if you're keen to use AI prompts also in the Power Platform for yourself, that you are aware what licensees are behind that. And then in the end, I will leave some room for questions. But also feel free to drop your questions all the time in the chat whenever they occur. I try to squeeze them in while we're at the topic. So yeah, feel free to use that question functionality here. All right. So with that, let us dive into the topic. AI in the Power Platform. Even though this presentation was from summer, now we're near the end of the year. I think it's even clearer that it's not just a trend wave, yeah, that we are surfing here also in the low code area, because we all know why AI is so important for different business processes. And we want to automate all the tasks we do the whole day or multiple times a week. We want to do faster decision making. We may want to improve our customer experience, make this a little bit more automated, a little bit more natural looking through AI. And for sure, we also want to increase the efficiency. So in the keynote from the European Power Platform Conference, there was mentioned that the goal for Microsoft is that we achieve the 10x of efficiency and of getting our work done through agents and things like that. And one of the goals to achieve parts of that would be Power Platform, as it gives you a nice way to deal with AI tools, even though without the need of knowing what's going on in the background, how does it work technically. It's just for pure end user usage, and you can build a really cool stuff with that. And this is where we want to dive in deeper during that session here. So the AI builder. AI builder itself, it's long around in the Power Platform, so it's a hub of different models that you can use, so that even though professional developers or citizen developers could extend their applications and the workflows and their agents with AI capabilities. But those models were let's say a bit more on the basic side. Yeah, the AI builder had some typical models like form processing, like object detection, like test classification, which are great because you can use them also without having any knowledge about machine learning and things like that. But they were really let's say limited because they were predefined, or they would require custom training with data to really get into work with your applications and with your workflows and things like that. So it was a really good start, let's say 2 to 3 years ago, to democratize AI usage in the low code world. But as said, it had some limitations. Those pre-built models would have some problems if you use them on special processes or scenarios. For example, what if my process have really specific requirements, or what if I want to extract specific information from my data, or I want a summarization, rewriting things, or do some kind of classification even without having a large data set at hand to do so. All of those was really hard to achieve with those more traditional AI models that are part of the AI builder, and they reached the limit quite quickly, because you have no chance to enhance those AI builder models. Despite you can add more training data, but if there is not the right model for your use case, then AI builder was not that useful in the past. But the good thing is we have something quite new in the AI builder. I think it's now around a year or more, which is called the AI prompts. And here it's the idea to bring all the generative AI functionalities that you know from ChatGPT, from Copilot, from Anthropic, and all the other tools that are around, and bring those in a really easy way into the AI builder, and therefore also in the Power Platform. And the idea behind that, I think this is quite sure, and everybody has heard that up to now, but the idea is that you don't teach the AI what to do, you just tell what to do and what is your desired outcome, and you all give it the information that you have, and let the AI do the magic and give you some output that hopefully will then match what you have expected. And this is based on those generative AI models that are used by multiple different companies. So in our case, it's Azure OpenAI, so the large language model from OpenAI, so the same one that is used by ChatGPT, for example. But we also have the option to choose other models as well. And this is then used through the Azure OpenAI service. So, which means we have the full capability like ChatGPT, but if you're using it in a Power Platform, all the data you proceed or you process with the AI prompt will stay in your tenant. So nothing is sent out to a third company, will be used for training, etc. So all the data stays in your Microsoft tenant, will not leave it, and it's then really secure to use those large language models in the AI builder through AI prompts in your applications and workflows, to enhance your solutions or to support your solutions through generative AI. And as said, the why do I call this the Swiss Army knife? So the AI prompts, they give us a lot of really cool things, and you can do so much with them. And just under the brand AI prompt, but you can do so many different things. It's really versatile. It's the one core technology, generative AI, what you can use to a huge range of tasks. So like you may use ChatGPT or services like that on in your private life. You can imagine what you could do with AI prompts then on the local base on the Microsoft environment. It's super simple. It's all just a prompt. It's getting the prompt enriched with some data, also in a really easy way. So you don't need to be a data expert. You don't need to be an AI expert. You just need to think about a good structure, how to phrase your problem, how to phrase your desired outcome, and then you're good to go, because it's also really quick to deploy. You can use it right away once you created that AI prompt, and you can it is always available, because if you create that AI prompt, I will explain that in a minute a bit more, you can use that AI prompt across the Power Platform, in all of the different tools wherever you are building your stuff. You can add it into a Power App, you can add it in a Power Automate workflow, you can add it into a Copilot Studio agent. And this is really the cool thing here, that you build an AI prompt and you can reuse it in many different ways and type of applications or processes. So therefore, I came up with the idea, hey, it really feels like a Swiss Army knife, because I can do so many different things with that tool. And how does that Swiss Army knife work? So what we do is we create a prompt in the AI builder. This is our instruction where we tell the AI what to do. For example, something easy like summarize the following text or extract name and address from this data, and things like that. We put some placeholders in that prompt where the data should come from. I will show that in the demo part a little bit more. And then we deploy that prompt, and it will be a reusable AI builder model. So like the more traditional AI builder models like invoice processing and things like that, we have then an AI prompt that you can use everywhere in the Power Platform. Then we take the AI prompt, we put it into our application, into our workflow, or into Copilot Studio, and then those tools take care that also the right data is then sent into our placeholders in the prompt. Because we don't want to create a static prompt, we want to have a dynamic based on an email that comes in, or based on a new data set in SharePoint, or whatsoever. So many different ways. And what we then do is those AI prompt will then be sent with the instructions, with the data, to the large language model, and then your tool gets back the result, being it generated text, being it a more structured format like a JSON or a picture. Many different ways, but this is basically the way how you build something like that. You go into the AI Builder hub, you create an AI prompt, you publish that, you make use of those prompts in your different tools, you add the dynamic data into the prompt through your tools, you send your result, get the result back, and then you can do with that whatever you like in the Power Platform terms. So this is how it works, and what are the traditional use cases we can do, or the most common use cases. What are the different tools that are on our Swiss Army knife? We can do really easy classification. We don't need large data for the classification. We can do sentiment analysis. We can identify the type of request that was sent. It's quite handy if you build something like a ticket tool or things like that. So text classification is really an easy task with AI prompts. For sure, data extraction. Yeah, you can bring in your customer, your company data into the AI prompts and ask it to extract specific information, even though in a specific format, so that your system, your target system can work with that information. So like contract data or product details, resume data for HR solutions. So all of that. The other part is for sure the more the traditional Gen AI approach. It's just generating new texts because on data, or also only because of your prompt. To draft text, to create some descriptions without writing them on your own, or to create some draft for customer responses. All of that are things that are possible with that. For sure, also summarization. Throw a large data set in there, get a condensed version out of that, for sending that out as a Teams message or things like that. Also quite common scenario for the AI prompts. And in the end, also the transformation of data. If you, for example, you have a SharePoint, you have your SharePoint data there in a SharePoint list, but your system of record needs another format. You can ask an AI prompt to grab that SharePoint entry for you and transform it into a JSON, a CSV, whatever it be. Whatever text format it should be. And the AI prompt can do that task for you. So you don't here have to deal with complicated Power Automate flows that will do the data transformation and things like that. So those are a few really common scenarios on how to use AI prompts. And again, why I think this makes it really versatile, and worth calling it the Swiss Army knife of the Power Platform. So with that, this was mainly my slideshow part. So now I will switch to some demos to show you a few of the things that I had on the slide more in action, to get a better feeling on how those AI prompts work. So as said, everything is live. So please send some short prayers to the demo gods that everything will work out. And let me just change the screen that I'm sharing. All right, let's give it a second. All right, I hope now you see a browser with the Power Platform.
Yep, I can see it there. Yep, Power Apps.
Awesome. Okay, then let us start on where to find the AI prompts and all of that. So in the Power Platform, it doesn't matter if you open up Power Apps or Power Automate, you have the AI Hub. So this is the place where all the different AI actions you have have their home base. If this should be not visible for you, click on the three dots on more, and then it should be somewhere here. Could be that it's not visible on your side, but then you have the AI Hub, and you can see those prompting stuff. The AI prompts are quite prominently advertised already right on the top. Really large area here, which also say try prompts. And here you see also the different capabilities you have in AI Builder itself. So you have the AI models. This is one more the traditional models, the pre-built models for really, really specific use cases. But we want to focus on the prompt. There is already a large template library for prompts. So if you're not into prompting, or if you want to check something out first before you think intensively about the prompt on your own, look into the templates. So there are really a lot. So you see when I go to all templates, it's quite a huge list. There are things like analyze the satisfaction survey, have some business card reader, write professional email confirming the receipt of payment information, and so on and so on. So a lot of things that you could use as template, that you can use as inspiration to get an idea on how to write a prompt, how a prompt can look like. So a lot of things here that you can make use of. and also at the front some of the really common examples: summarize a text, extract information from a text, classify a text. So all the things I mentioned before that are the most common use cases that I currently see for the AI Builder prompt. And in the end, all of the ones below are just more enhanced versions of the same feature. Yeah. But we will not focus on them. We will start from scratch, so I can really show you how to do it on your own. So for that, I pick a really basic prompt that I created as a demo. And this is basically everything that you can do and need to do when creating an AI prompt. So for sure, you give it a name so that you will find it in your Power Platform. And then this is the instruction that you give it. So this is your prompt. So I will not read out everything. So here it actually says, hey, I give you a customer message. Try to find out if the customer is satisfied, unsatisfied, whatsoever, and give me an analysis on that. And also draft me already an answer that I could may send to the customer. And in that answer, please make sure you go really into the topic that the customer was mentioning. So yeah, say I'm sorry for hearing if something is not working out. And I also can create some conditions into that where the AI takes care about me, and I don't need to make my head around about some if then that statements and so on. So in my example, I check, or I let the AI check if the customer message has some kind of a request in it, like something is not working. If so, the answer should have something in it like, hey, in the next 48 hours, somebody will contact you. If it's just a feedback, like a positive feedback, like, hey, I just want to let you know everything works fine, the tool is great, thank you for that, then the AI should not send this part, because it's not necessary for a customer to answer the customer that somebody will call you in the next 2 days when you just send out some positive feedback, for example. And building that in a workflow would be really time expensive. Yeah, it would be really hard to do it in Power Automate. With AI prompt, it's just that. It's just the few sentences that I have. And here you see this is a placeholder. So this placeholder you add via add content. And then you have the option to add a placeholder that is a text that comes out of an email, out of a SharePoint entry, or a Teams message. I don't know, a lot of things possible here. It can come out of an image or a document. So from an attachment from a mail, for example, it could be some PowerFX formula. This is then more for professional developers. Or it could come out of your Dataverse knowledge. Yeah? If you have a customer database in Dataverse, for example, you can grab knowledge from there as well. And what does it do? If you have that placeholders, if you make use of that prompt in Power Automate or in Power Apps, this will be then dynamically filled through the application or through the workflow. I will show that later as well. But I also show you what are the other settings that you have. So you can go from here again in the prompt library. If you don't want to start from scratch, if you want to get some input from here, you have some settings. One of them is the so-called temperature. This is how much will the answer, how much variation we have in the answers that those AI prompt is given. So if you tell it to 1, then the answers will look really different from answer to answer. So from the format, from the length and things like that. If you put the temperature more on the lower side, then the answers will look all a bit more similar. But also keep in mind, this is generative AI. You will never get the exact same answer despite you use a structured format like JSON. If you tell it, hey, give me a text-based answer, and you don't put in a lot of guardrails in your prompt, the answer will always look a little bit different from the sentences that are created and things like that. So if you have a use case, we really rely on the same kind of answer and things like that, this is not something for that, just as some disclaimer. Then Record retrieval, this is only important if you use Dataverse. Here you say how many data sets the answer can rely on, from 30 up to 1000. So this is just if you use it with a database. Also here you can include the link to that record if you use Dataverse. And you also could enable a code interpreter to make also build some AI prompt that helps with coding questions. But I will skip that for today. And then the only other thing that we have is we can select a model. So we have multiple models here already out of the box. Those are all Azure OpenAI models. So from OpenAI. So the basic model is GPT-4o1 Mini, which is powerful enough for most of the tasks. We have GPT-4o1 on GPT-5 for more intensive work, and also O3 as a reasoning model if you really throw at really hard tasks in an AI prompt. And you also can bring in any other model from Azure AI Foundry. So if you say, hey, we are not leaning so heavy into the Azure OpenAI part, we are more using the models from Anthropic or things like that, you can bring them also into here via Azure AI Foundry. But also for today, we stick with the basic models that we have here, and they are also capable enough for all of the tasks you can do here. So this is the left-hand side of an AI prompt. So here you give it the instruction and tell the tool what to do. But you can also directly test your prompt here. You don't need to first build it into an application and then figure out, it was not what I was expecting. And to do that, you can click on that placeholder that we have here, and you can add the sample data here. So I have already something here. So this is a really positive result. Somebody is saying, hey, the tool I was using is great, something like that. And then you can just hit the test button, and then the prompt will be executed. So the same that your application or your workflow will do. And in a second, we will then get the results. And it does here. Let me check. Was it really the positive result? No, it was a sarcastic result. So this is what it is. It sounds at first quite positive, but it's fully sarcastic because something is not working. So just that we have here that you are not because now it's saying that somebody is frustrated and it's using sarcasm. So those models are able to detect that. And here you also see the draft of the reply to the customer. Yeah. And what is so nice is it will really focus on what have the customer said. So again, I try to make this a bit larger. So I got to re-enter my entire time tracking data for the third time this week because the time track crashed again, things like that. So there is the option to do that. And the answer will then really focus on that. Yes, saying, hey, sorry for your inconvenience that the time track now tool crashes. And also because this is some kind of a ticket request, it also says, hey, we will keep you updated and get back to you within the next 48 hours because this was part of the prompt that I have given. If I put in another example, let me just grab my copy and paste stuff here. So I also have a positive example for the customer message. So like this, hey, just wanted to leave some feedback. The new auto transcription feature in Team Connect is super useful. Something like that. Might be happen that we also get something like that from our customers. Yeah, no complaints, just some positive feedback. And if we do the test now again and let the model run, we will then see for sure it understands that this is a really positive message. It also thanks for that. It again keeps the context of the user, and it's nice to hear that the auto transcription feature is making your life easier. So, yeah, so it's a really personalized answer. And here you see there's no mention of the 48 hours because the AI is smart enough to say, okay, it's not needed here. It's just a nice email that where we want to give the nice reply as well. So this is how an AI prompt is working in its core. So you have the instruction on the left-hand side. You put in the data or the placeholders for your data. Let's phrase it like that. I will also show you in an example with a file in a minute. And you can test it right away. And if you are satisfied with the result and you don't need to tweak your prompt anymore, you can save it, and it will then saved as an AI builder model like this one here, which I can reuse in all of my applications. So how does that look like? So for example, let us go to Power Automate. So here I have a really simple Power Automate workflow. It's a manual workflow. For debugging, I have a bit of variables, but it's not necessary. And the only thing that you need to do to add a prompt into your Power Automate flow is the action, which is called run a prompt. So this is an iBuilder action. And when you add that to your workflow, you can choose from all of the different prompts that you have in your current Power Platform environment. And here you see, it asks me where it will find the customer message. Yeah, because the Power Platform understands my placeholder from before, and it will now ask me, okay, where does that customer message come from? And this could be an email, for example. In my case, just manually. So if I say test here, it will ask me for that message, hopefully in a minute. If I want to test the flow. So I can say I want to test it manually, and now it will ask me like here, I can put in my customer message like, hello, I have a question about the archiving feature, blah, blah, blah. So it's more like a question and no complaint. So also another use case, we can say run the flow, and the flow will run. We run here. We'll go through everything. We see quite fast, so it's already done. And when I go back here, the result is I get a Teams message. And it's the same as in the test we saw before. So this is the customer message. And here is AI suggested response. Yeah. Which starts here. It's not so well formatted. Hello, thank you for reaching out with your questions about this and that and that. And this is how you can then use those AI prompts in your workflows with dynamic data. But this was a really, let's say, easy example. Yeah, so we have not asked the AI to do really something intensive with all of the power that a large language model have. So another thing that is much more interesting is data extraction from my perspective, because you can create a really intensive document automation solutions via the AI prompts. So I have another prompt here, which is for data extraction. So what we could do, we could, this is an HR example. So we get a CV from somebody who's interested in joining the company. And I ask it here that from that CV, it should extract me the core information. But in that case, I want to have it in a JSON format. And I can strictly tell AI Builder, the AI prompt, to give me the output as a JSON. Yeah. So this will help me that this ensures that I 100% get a proper JSON in the end, and not something like you may have experienced with other large language tools, like you say, hey, give me that data as JSON, and the answer from ChatGPT, for example, is great, here you have your JSON, and then the JSON file appears. This will not work in a workflow. Yeah. So here I can say, give me a pure JSON. And for example, I will also run that test here. I will upload a resume file. So, and I can do the test. And now we will see a much more technical result. So we see from that document that I uploaded, it extracted all the information in a proper JSON format, which I now can reuse for my tools. Because if I get something like this back in my Power Automate flow, I can do a lot more stuff with that and send it to other tools as well. And I have an example for that to see that in action. So let me go back here to Power Automate. So here, I will not do it manually because most of the workflows should be run automatically. Yeah, I will write an email and for that HR example that you just saw. So I'll write a new email. I'll send it to myself. I say CV, and I just add one of the CVs to the as attachment. Don't need to write anything here. I can, but I send this now to myself, and this will now trigger that workflow that I have. And what will the workflow do? It will run the prompt that we just saw, the data extraction prompt. It will parse the JSON, so we have the different JSON elements at hand for our workflow, and then the end result is that it will post this in a Teams message. So let us check if the flow is already run. 7 seconds ago, sounds good. And if I go back to Teams, here it is. So here is the extracted information. I get a short summary that I asked the tool to give me with the last company he or she worked for, the latest degree, and the contact information. So this was all extracted by the AI builder in some seconds. And it doesn't matter how the CVs look like. Yeah, it will work with a lot of different variations. Yeah, if you're in HR department, you may know that the CVs will look really different. Yeah, for every person. No need to worry about that if you use an AI prompt for that. But also here, this is more on the easy side. This how can we extend that even further? So therefore, I have another prompt that I want to show you, which is much more enhanced. And this is a prompt that can completely automate an invoice process. Because here, this instruction is a lot longer. It's more fine-tuned. So here I again asked for extract the information. I given an example how the output should look like for my other systems. I say if it doesn't find information for one of the particular fields I'm asking for, it should save this as null, so as a technical value. Things like that, and it will then use an invoice for that. So I can also upload here then an invoice. This invoice can also come from an email attachment, from a SharePoint library, whatsoever. So a lot of different ways on doing that. Let me just grab any of those here and say test. And then out of that invoice that I sent, it will extract all the information that are needed to work further with that invoice. I can pass that information to SAP. I can pass that information in a summarized text to the finance department. Whatever you can think about, you can do that here. But here, I want to show you how can that look like in an application. So therefore, I have here a Power Apps application that I created for the conference. And I have a tool that is called Invoice Management. So here, I can also upload my invoice. So let me now grab another one, because I know that those are sometimes handwritten and they are scanned, so they look like that. So this is my preview, and when I now click on Analyze Invoice, it will fire the exact prompt that I just showed you before. So I say Analyze Invoice. We see it's working here on top. You may see the dots running around, and means we'll get some data. And here it is. We have the invoice data right in our Power App, and we could now go and build on top of that different forms or approvals or whatsoever. And let us check. So Invoice date, 1st of June, sounds right. Invoice number looks good, 514, 514. The text total is also correct. And we also have all the different line items here listed with the quantity and the amount and the unit price and things like that. And this is all done only by one AI prompt to extract the data. And I think this is a quite powerful example what you can do with that quite simple looking AI prompt technology in terms of your workflows in the area of document automation. Yeah, you can do this with invoices, with CVs, with QA documents from laboratories if you're working in that area, things like that. So a really cool use of that. Also, how it works, I'll show you in another example. So this is a little bit more advanced here, but what you could do, you can use those models also for creating some nice app use cases within a company. So for example, I have a lot of great colleagues that are great in technology. They create a lot of cool things with all the Microsoft stuff, but asking them to create like a summary that I can send for a customer, it may sound a little bit too techy. Yeah, a lot of stuff that might not all customers will understand at first hand. So here I created a tool that also has just some fields in my application. There's one AI prompt behind that, and I can put in some information here. So like I want to have something like the a tool called Enterprise GPT. It's based on Azure OpenAI, yada yada, and so on. Oh no, I don't want to log in anywhere. Where's my application? Here it is. This use case. The target group is all employees. Let's say I am a seller. Let's assume, gladly I'm not, so, but nevertheless. So this is the information my technical colleagues can give me all the time when I wake them up at 3 a.m. in the morning. No problem. But what we can do now is just to click on a button, and when I prompt in the back, it can create a nice marketing text that I can use as a marketeer, or for the website, or just sending out to the user, and it's creating a nice text like saying Enterprise GPT innovation tool, leveraging OpenAI search and so on, tailored for the whole company. It will be available in Q3. For more information, contact me. Yeah, and this is also just a simple prompt that it's behind that. And in Power Apps, it looks like that. I have here my. So let me start here with the data part, where I have here's the data part. Here I add my AI prompts as models, as like a connection in my app, and I can then use them like a Power Automate flow in my application here. So I can target it here, and because I have in that example 6 placeholders, it understands that this 6 placeholders needs to be filled, and I say here, okay, use the value from that form field, use the value from that form field, and so on. And it will then pass that information dynamically all the time to the large language model, and I get back my dynamically generated answer. So this is how you can make use of those things in Power Automate, in Power Apps, but also you can make use of that same piece of technology in Copilot Studio, for example. Yeah. So here I have a Copilot Studio agent, and this is now in for an insurance example. So this bot should be able to handle insurance claims about a specific insurance type for water damage, and the agent should check if all the information that are needed are given, like the policy number, the name, the address, and let's say a description of the damage. And if not, ask for that information till we have everything in our system so that we could take care about that as an insurance company. So Let me check. I have an insurance issue. So I start with that. It should then lead us to the question to give some more details. So it's not so friendly. I need to work on that, to be honest. But yeah, it's just for a demo purpose. And let me also grab a message that I have prepared here, saying, hey, I would like to create a report, and so on and so on. This is an example where all of the data is in. So I send it to the tool. Now an AI prompt will work on that and check the different things and saying, hey, thank you for reporting your claim. An expert will contact you in the next 2 days because all of the data is given by the user. Let's start it over. Let's say, hey, may not everything was mentioned by the user of that agent, for example. I think insurance is enough that I just trigger the right topic. And then here I have a much more easy version. It's just saying, hey, I'm not sure if this is the right email, but some pretty bad storm damage last night, and so on and so on, without any of the information that are needed. And now it will get back a completely different answer and asking for, hey, please give us your insurance number or policy number, the exact date when the incident occurs, and so on and so on. So here you can make use of those AI prompts in different ways. And also here, I show you another prompt. It's not the prompt that I'm using here. I will show you that in a minute. This is I have 2 prompts here. So for that insurance claim, it comes out of a hackathon that we did with a customer. It was that a customer inquiry should first to be checked if it is about a water damage and if the data that is sent also is showing that it is a water damage. So like the pictures that are sent with that email or a receipt from a maintenance guy or things like that. So the first prompt in a process will just check and use the email text and the attachment if this is a water damage or not. And it will only give out the option true or false. So like in workflow. So let us also test it here. I need to give it some data before I test. This was not the right way to do it. Give me a second. So let me go here and say this is my email text. So, and an attachment, I will upload an AI generated picture of a water damage, EPPC, insurance, and here's some insurance case. And we can ask to test it. And in that case, it will then just check if it's a water damage or not, true or false. So we can use that to start our workflow and trigger the right condition in a much easier way than creating that manually in a workflow. And the second part would then be the thing that you saw on the agent to check if all of the data is there and things like that. And with that, you can create a really simplified insurance process with just 5 actions. Yeah. So here is when a new email arrives, it will run the first prompt to check if it is a water damage. And if so, it will run the second prompt to check if all the data is there. And if so, it will send the user an email saying, hey, okay, we take care about that. Or if not, then it says to user, hey, please also send us your insurance claim number. So also let us do really short test here. I write an email again to myself. In that case, I need to say insurance. I add the picture of the water damage, and I will also add some email text here. This here, and send it out. And this will then trigger the workflow that we just saw. And hopefully then in a second, I will get back an email from my workflow. So I tested before. So this was the result 5 minutes before the webinar. So let's hope that I get results back here as well in a second. So let me also check if the workflow is already run or is running. Is this running? So we see it here. It's running through everything. And so that means we should get back an email right now. Here it is. So this is the email out of that. And as said, really, really simplified. But in the end, we have a full insurance workflow with two AI builder prompts and a little bit of Power Automate in between, but really only a few things. Let me check. There was a question. Let me answer that when we are in the demo part here. Could the sales text be integrated to a PowerPoint template file? So I think this goes back to that application here. So with that, we could do everything that Power Automate is capable of. Writing into PowerPoint is not something that Power Automate is capable of. So the actual answer is no. But you can do with that whatever you like. But you can't create really then a PowerPoint template out of that yet. But also PowerPoint is also getting some much more enhanced Copilot features in the next release wave. But yeah, this is something that I have at least now no idea how to do it. So you need to do something manually with the text, copy it into your tool. But if you use that on a SharePoint or on a knowledge base to make it available for other sellers as well, this could be automated pretty sure. Yeah. All right. So this will round up my demo. So I hope that gave you a good overview on first hand how simple it is to start with that, but also how powerful it could be. So, and also hopefully you get why I call this Swiss Army knife, because I can do some basic summarization, but I can also do a lot of document intelligence stuff with that.
Yeah, thank you, Sebastian, for a great presentation and demo. So now we get into questions part. Should you should you have any questions, please feel free to type in the questions box now. See if any questions come up. I have one there. With the rise of Copilot Studio, how do you see prompt engineering evolving within Power Platform over the next year?
So let me check. Well, you asked the audience or was the question for me?
For you, yeah.
Okay, for me. So yeah, for sure. So I think in prompt engineering was the beginning of that. This was more for a really temporary specific task, I would say. I think it's now even a level more. It's like instruction engineering, because all the Microsoft tools and also other AI tools now depend on instructions, especially on that low code side where you really tell it what to do, in which order, when to use what data. So yes, it is really important. And I think prompt engineering is only the beginning of that. And those instructions that I also showed today are one of a skill that is definitely needed, even I would say already now, but also in the future, definitely. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, so it looks like that's all the questions. So that's the end of today's webinar. You can find this webinar and more at sharepointeurope.com/research center. Thanks again for all of you joining us today. I hope you join us again soon. Take care.
Thank you.